All right, hi guys. I'm going to show you how to do this virtual mineral lab. Some of these minerals we're going to be looking at in the classroom, and we're going to be doing some of these things in the classroom as far as like actually testing these properties for real. But we can do pretty much the entire lab online. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the bulletin board of my CBA, and actually you're going to go to topics of my CBA and go to Unit 3. Click on that and you'll see right at the top of the page there are obviously these 3D mineral models, which I showed you guys the other day. There's some videos here on how to identify minerals and some of the things we're going to be doing in the classroom. But right at the top of the page, there is a link. So if you click on that link, it's going to bring you to this page, which I'm going to give you a copy of some of these things. But it kind of walks you through what minerals are all about, their physical properties, some of the testing methods for looking at some of these physical properties, which we're learning about in the classroom, as well as some unique diagnostic physical properties when identifying some of the major minerals that we're looking at on our reference table. And so these are the minerals that we're going to be looking at for this virtual lab, and these are some unique characteristics of those minerals that we can look at as we're identifying. So how do we do this lab? Well, you're all going to be getting a copy of this in the classroom, or if you're 100% remote, you'll get this online. And you're going to be filling out this form here. You're going to be typing in answers to all of these different things right here. And in order to do that, you obviously need to look at different samples from the classroom. And that's where this comes in. So if you go to the bottom of this, click on each number, so sample number 1, and you'll see here a sample of a mineral. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to identify that mineral. Now, there are other pictures of this. If you want to click on it, you can click on the picture. It shows you some other pictures just to give you a little bit better understanding about what it looks like. But what you need to do is you need to basically physically test this virtually, right? It's kind of funky, isn't it? You're not really doing much here. So first off, you look at the color of the mineral, and you're just looking at what it is on the screen, and you can see obviously it's pretty white, so I'm just going to click white. All right, so the next thing after that is streak. Streak is obtained by rubbing the mineral on a streak plate, which is a hard porcelain plate, and it usually is the powdered form of that mineral. And so what we can do here is just click on streak test. So if you click on it, it says at the top, the powdered sample is white in color. Okay, so that means that's pretty straightforward. That means our streak is white. So I'm just going to click on that. Cleavage or fracture is how it breaks. And it tells you right here, just do the cleavage or fracture test. It says breaking the sample resulted in one cleavage direction and irregular fracture. So that's helpful. One cleavage direction means we click the number 1. And then for fracture, you would say irregular for the fracture. So it's got a little bit of both there. You got one cleavage direction, which we'll talk about later, and irregular fracture. Okay. Crystal form. Now, this is one that I don't need you to basically identify because this is a really hard thing to see on the screen, and it's probably hard for you at a 9th grade level to be able to do that. Even for me, it's pretty difficult. So I did this for you. If you look here on this form, crystal form says not present. So I'm just going to click on not present here. Okay, hardness. The hardness test we do by rubbing it on different objects of different hardnesses. And you can just start going through. If you click on this, it says click on one of the hardness buttons to perform a hardness scratch test. So if I click on the number 1, it says the sample was not scratched. So that means it's obviously harder than 1. Okay. Number 2, the sample was not scratched. Okay, so it's harder than that. How about 3? Number 3 says the sample was scratched. So I know that it's somewhere between 2 and 3. So I'm going to click 2. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm going to click 2 over here on the hardness. So click 2. All right, luster, metallic or non-metallic. Well, does it look like a metal or does it not? And I would say it's definitely non-metallic. And then we have to say, okay, are there any other properties that this thing has? Magnet test. Is it attracted to a magnet? Nope. Hydrochloric acid test. It does not react with hydrochloric acid. Taste test. No discernible taste. So we're going to just say not applicable. Okay, so here's where the last part comes in, the mineral name. We have to identify this mineral based on all the properties that we wrote down. Now what we can do is we're going to transfer all of these things to our chart. We can write these down if we are in the classroom 100% remote. You're just going to type these into this chart here. So obviously the color was white, the streak was white, it had one cleavage direction, no crystal form, fracture was irregular, hardness was a 2, luster, we said non-metallic. We can just write non if we want to. No other applicable properties. So now we just have to figure out the mineral name. And here's where your reference table comes in. Okay, so if you don't have your reference table handy, remember your reference table can be found on MyCBA on the main bulletin board. It's right here. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that. And remember, the reference table we're referring to is the back page, page 16, the mineral chart here. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go through this and see which one it could possibly be. All right, so we'll start with non-metallic, obviously. Hardness somewhere around 2 to 3, somewhere in that range. So we're into these options here. It says definitely has a cleavage plane, so we're going to say cleavage on this, on the check mark, so it can't be sulfur. It's kind of white in color, so that might help us, in a whitish color. It doesn't look like it's flexible in thin sheets. Definitely no salty taste, so it can't be halite. So it can't be biotite because it's not flexible. And it can't be muscovite because it's not flexible in thin sheets. Not salty, so it can't be halite. Could be gypsum. We could try that. So let's try doing gypsum. So we're going to go back here and we're going to click on gypsum. And if that's our final answer, we can just go, okay, grade identification. Let's see if we get this right. Congratulations, the physical properties of mineral were correctly identified. Now, if you do get that wrong, you can always try a different mineral. Just click a different mineral in here and try it again until you get it right. Then you're going to just write in your name, which is gypsum, or selenite gypsum if you want to be precise. And there's your final answer. Okay, so that's how you do this mineral ID lab. It's a matter of clicking through all the different samples. There's 20 different samples you're going to have to go through and do all these different things for. And some of these we're going to look at in the classroom and kind of work out some of these ideas together. And you're going to fill out this entire chart. Now, obviously, because it's grading it for you, you're going to have these all correct by the end. But that's the first part of this lab, is the identification part. Okay, so that's it. And if you have any questions about how to do any of that stuff, just let me know. Okay.